Storm DJs Podcasts.
Welcome one and all. Today on the Storm DJs Podcast, we are interviewing the BBC's DJ Nish. The globe-trotting open format DJ has become one of the most sought after female DJs in the industry. In this interview, she tells us all about her life, her very best gigs, and her thoughts on aliens. Welcome, DJ Nish. All good. So we'll dive straight in. This is probably the easiest question of all, which is where did your stage name come from?
It's just my name, shortened down. So my full name is Nishtar, but a lot of people couldn't really pronounce it or say it. So it was just always easier just to say Nish. And then, stuck the DJ in front of it.
Simple but effective. We like it. And as a DJ, do you have a particular style that you sort of move towards? I know that you obviously classify as open format, so going towards everyone's styles, but have you got something which you sort of think you're an expert at over everything else?
I think dance, I will always try to play a few hit dance tracks that are popular. It depends. If I'm like in a bar where it's a bit more flexible, then I'll just kind of just play only that, because no one's really being a bit too picky with the music. But I think I just love dance music, so I always try to play a few of those, and some like, I'd say hip hop tunes from like 2010s to like 2000s are always good because everyone loves those.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those. In terms of your sort of musical upbringing, can you walk us through how you got where you are today in terms of being a DJ? Like where did it all come from?
So my dad actually used to DJ as a hobby when he was younger. And when I was in school, we used to have these school discos and the music was just awful. So I would always complain about it. So he was like, oh, why don't I set up the equipment for you 1 year and then you can like play around with your CDs and just DJ for free. So I must have been about 15, 16. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. For a bit of fun. And then I just kind of carried on from there, because then a few people I knew were DJs in my local area and they were like, oh, there's like some small bookings we can't do. Would you be able to fill in for us? And then they'll set up the equipment. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Then started from there, really.
So it's sort of a family sort of influence of sorts then in there. And does your dad still do anything, or is he hung up his headphones now?
In the DJ side, yes, he has, but he's into radio. So again, that's where my radio background comes from as well.
Okay.
Because he's set up his own community radio station. So I think growing up, I always had that media and music background.
Yeah. Very nice. In terms of when you're doing a gig, or you're setting out to do a gig, what do you do in terms of set preparation?
I feel like I'm quite confident in terms of having a lot of music over the many years I've been DJing. So I do have like massive crates with all different genres. I usually just speak to the manager on the day or whoever my point of contact is to be like, what kind of genres do you want covered? And then if there's a majority of one, which I know I probably might have a bit of less music in, I'll just find more music for that. Otherwise, I think what a good thing as well is like going on social media and having a look to see what the kind of vibe is, what the tagged posts are like, and then you kind of get a feel of, okay, this is the kind of music that they'd want played. That definitely helps.
Have you ever had a client where they've just been so picky about music it's sort of like driven you insane, or are you always just taking it in your stride and said, okay, yeah, I can play whatever?
I try to take it in my stride, but there is the odd occasion, I think especially weddings, where they probably think the bride and groom maybe leave music to the very, very last minute, and it might be the day before. I'll get a playlist of probably about 20, 30, sometimes even like 50 tracks of these are everything we want for background music. This is what we want for this this section. It could be completely different languages. I've never heard of them before. And I'm like, okay, you give me less than 24 hours for this humongous playlist, but I just try to get as many as I can.
Yeah. Okay. But what about the other extreme then, who, someone books an event a year in advance and sends the playlist a year in advance? Like, how do you deal with that if they want to discuss a playlist where it's that far in advance?
I'll just say we'll wait
Sure.
closer to the time, because you might like this now, but you might not like it by the time
Yeah.
the next day comes. And it's true with new songs now, like they're so short-lived. Like they'll be popular for about 1 month, and then the following month, like no one would play them out and no one would listen to them at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of your experience and the stuff that you've done, have you had any particular events that have been standout events?
I think definitely Wireless last summer was like a huge thing in my DJ career, to be able to be a part of that. So I was on the second stage, but I was DJing throughout the whole day. So from the time the doors opened to like in between each of the acts and sets, so just working around like the stage and the artists. So having the full experience for the whole day was actually like, this is insane, I can't believe I'm here. It was really cool.
Did you find that was a little bit intensive? I mean, were you just dead at the end of the day after that? Because that sounds
like
like
I couldn't really eat properly either, because anytime I would step away, they'd be like, no, you have to be hanging around, because like
oh no.
some artists like finished their set early and then they were like, you need to be back here in 5 minutes. And then I was like, oh my gosh, so it's like a panic. So when you're in the moment, it's like amazing. And then afterwards I was like, I'm starving.
Yeah. Did you like sleep for a whole day after that? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. At least the weather was good, so it was like nice and warm, and yeah, it was
Excellent.
fun.
Very cool. Yeah, that must have been amazing. What was I going to say next? In terms of again, looking back at events and stuff, have there been any, instead of highlights but lowlights, where something's gone completely tits up?
I'd say mainly in terms of weddings, where I got booked for one and I don't think I even played anything. I think I just played the entrance song, because they had a band, they were running late. So I was kind of booked just to stand around just in case there was some time for me to play, but
Okay.
it just never happened. So I was just kind of like, there was no point in me being here really. But it's fine. I guess things like that happen in terms of
Yeah.
timing. But I think nothing's gone like horribly wrong where I've left and been like, oh my God, that was the worst thing ever. I think there have been times, I think in clubs especially, there might be people that make like horrible comments, or like if you don't play their song, then they get really annoyed with you and then they just give you attitude. But I'm kind of learning to deal with that now, so, and just not get too offended.
No.
No one started on me like physically, so it's fine.
No, that's all right. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
How do you see sort of event DJing changing over the next 5 to 10 years?
You know, I really hope it just goes back to how it used to be, because I'm just not, I get it. Everyone loves the mashups and TikTok 10-second clips and things like that. They are a good way to showcase that, oh, I can mix different genres, or I bet you never could think about these two tracks being put together. But I think DJs probably are heavily relying on it too much now. And then sometimes it's like you might just want to go out and enjoy the music and not have to just listen to 3 seconds of a clip before it completely changes something random. So I'm hoping in 5 years' time, everyone will get bored of that and it'll just go back to playing just original tracks, or even if there are remixes, like the actual released ones, and just let's just enjoy the music and the songs.
Yeah, it's definitely TikTok side of stuff always feels like a little bit, following slight fads and trends, but you never know what's going to happen, never know what's around the corner.
No.
And yeah, if a DJ is booked for a 2-hour set based on a 5-second video clip, who knows what's going to happen there. I don't know if someone's gained popularity through a miniature mix, if they really do have that talent, or not, if they haven't played anywhere before. But it's the power of social media, isn't it? It's tough to.
I actually have heard someone play out before where my friend was saying, oh, I booked this DJ because I saw them on TikTok and they were really good. So I was like, okay, great. So obviously me being the DJ, I was like, let's have a listen out to everything and how the mixing is and everything. But it was predominantly just like fading out and using the filter effect to switch between songs. And I think only as a DJ I would notice that, but I think no one else after a few drinks actually cared, because I think, yeah, maybe just like no one really cares about mixing or things like that, or smooth transition.
I think that applies to certain types of events where it's like a corporate event or potentially weddings where they just want to hear particular tracks. They're not too bothered about the type of mixes. But obviously, when you move out to the clubbing side of stuff, where people are booking particular artists, then the audience generally has more of a sort of focus on the mixing, don't they? Unless they're completely off their head, obviously. But that's another story.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's true to say it's a bit of a strange one, that in terms of what people listen to and what they're looking out for when you transition between songs. Can you tell us about your first ever gig?
So yeah, I mentioned it before. I don't know if it counts, but because it was like my free gig that I did at school when I was a teenager. So that was for like just, I think it was like probably like year 11 disco, where the boys' school came over to the girls' school, and then I think like Soldier Boy was in right then, so I remember playing that and everyone like dancing along in rows, so it was quite fun. But yeah, it was just a good experience. And after that, I think I got booked for like a pre-wedding party. So I started off as a wedding DJ, so it was always like predominantly like ladies only, so we want a female DJ, so I did a lot of events like that. They were generally fun. Girls would do like a little dance routine, there might be like a belly dancer there, so I remember like growing up doing parties like that.
Can you, I mean, you're probably too young for this concept, but can you remember the first ever track that you bought? I know that buying records and buying CDs might not apply, judging by the age, but yeah, you tell me.
I have a feeling it probably was a Billy Piper CD.
Okay, very nice.
I remember I had I think when I was in like year 8 or year 9, maybe, I got given the Lady Marmalade cassette, which had Christina Aguilera and Little Kim on there, so that was like a gift. But then I think the actual CD I bought was a Billy Piper one.
Okay.
Which I never listened to.
Want to remember that one.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how you got through COVID? If you did.
I did, but I kind of pretty much didn't do anything music or DJ related, which I do regret now. So I think I was kind of focusing on just like doing workouts at home and cooking, the usual stuff. I didn't download TikTok at all because I was like, this is just for kids and I'm not going to do it, which I kind of regret now, because I could have used that to my advantage, being a DJ and getting a wider audience and things like that. But I think at the time I was just like, oh, who knows what's going to happen. So I just really enjoyed myself and just stayed at home and chilled out. And the weather was so good, so I was just always in the garden sunbathing.
That's all right. That works well. I think from most people working in DJ industry and stuff, like that time, no one sort of could visualize what was going to happen with it, and everyone sort of just put stuff on hold, and it was just a bit of a strange one, because when an entire industry just stops working, it's sort of like, well, when's it going to start? What are we supposed to do? It was very strange for the most part of anyone participating in that industry anyway.
I think because like I had DJed for so many years before, it was kind of nice just to have a break from work and everything. So I kind of took that time out to be like, let me just be with family and chill out. So I quite enjoyed it, just doing nothing for once, because when would you ever get that time to do that again?
No. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you, where 10 is the weirdest person ever?
I have been told I'm weird, but I think that's with just select people. So if I'm comfortable around you, you'd see a good 8 or 9. Whereas if you're like a new person, you'd see like probably like a 0 or a 1. I'd be very reserved.
Excellent. So you've got a bit of flexibility in the weirdness scale. That's good talent. What would you do in the event of a zombie apocalypse?
I have asked this question.
Sort of like COVID, but
I have actually spoken to someone about this before, and I think if it was contained, like how in movies it's like normally just in the city and it hasn't like spread to other countries, I'll probably just fly out to like a tropical Caribbean resort or something and just stay there until it calms down. If it was worldwide spread, I don't know, I think I'll just buy loads of supplies and hide out at home or something.
Well, yeah, as long as you lock up tight, you'll be all right, I'm sure. Can you tell us about something you think you're not very good at?
Probably cooking. I'm not the greatest. My cooking very, very basic. It could be better.
It's something that can easily be improved, though, isn't it? That's a bit of
Yeah,
practice.
like if you just Google
sure.
stuff, then you
Yeah,
can
exactly.
get it.
Easier these days, at least.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about something you think is true but no one else believes?
I don't know if no one believes it, but I do believe in aliens. And I do think that they are like living among us, or they have come down, and like probably the US government are like keeping them hidden, and we don't know about a lot of stuff that's going on.
Is that what they've been shooting down recently from the sky? Is that the,
yeah, maybe.
Or is that the Chinese in the sky? I can't remember.
But they'll probably blame it on them, but it might be aliens, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? I mean, if they're amongst us, they're just sort of, are they observing?
Yeah, probably researching, probably working with, I don't know, some kind of Illuminati group or something. Who knows? I think there's a lot that happens, and we just kind of live our day-to-day lives oblivious to a lot of things. But I think a lot of things are being controlled, and we just are around just like nobody, if you know what I mean.
We're going quite close into politics now. I mean, it's sort of what goes on in Westminster. And how much control there is. But anyway, we won't get into that. What is your ideal sandwich? I know you say you're not very good at cooking, but could you create a sandwich, or are we talking about a sandwich which you purchase somewhere else?
I have bought this same one before that I have made, but it's a pesto mozzarella and sun-dried tomato one is always a good one.
Excellent. Well, what kind of bread though?
You could have it in a like panini or a wrap, not a normal King's meal type of loaf. I don't think it works well with that.
No. A bit more luxurious. Yeah. As a DJ, do you have a particular morning routine if you're ever awake in the morning, that is?
And my mornings are just terrible, especially now as I've left my 9 to 5. Unless I have a meeting scheduled in, I kind of just chill in bed for ages. And then I'll scroll through TikTok and Insta, then my emails and everything. And when I'm finally bored of my phone, then only will I, or if I'm hungry, then I'll get up and be like, okay, now it's time to get up and start the day. It can be like 10 a.m. or sometimes it has been 11 a.m. I'm not going to lie.
Very nice.
I need to snap out of it, but it's just
hard. If you were DJing at the end of the world party before we said goodbye to everyone, what would your last track be?
Faithless Insomnia, I think, always goes down really well.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, good choice. So you do a lot of work at the BBC, don't you?
Yes, I have a radio show there every Thursday evening, and that's from 8 till 10 p.m. You can listen to it on the BBC Sounds app, and I literally have a different theme every week and play loads of throwbacks and have live DJ mixes on there as well.
Excellent. Do you have guests as well, or is it just basically you all the way through?
Yeah, just me. Yeah.
Okay.
That's me.
Very cool. And I'm just thinking back. I mean, you've done a few corporate gigs with us, haven't you? And from my memory, there was one at XL Centre. There was it was a travel. What was it? Travel exhibition, something like that. Yeah. Focusing back or trying to remember back to that. What was the sort of style for that? I mean, I know you had one of our saxophonists there as well, but do you remember much?
Yeah, he was really good. So they just told me to play a mix of like commercial chart songs and R&B, things like that. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he just followed along and played exactly to every single song I played. So it was really good. And I think they liked the fact that I had a pink laptop and pink headphones because their company logo was all pink, and they even had cocktails there, so they were really happy with that.
Very nice. Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to say? Do you, in terms of just flicking back to that concept of the sort of how things are going to move in the next 5 to 10 years, have you got any thoughts about AI and how that will impact DJs?
I do think that they'll probably, especially a lot of record labels and artists, I think they will try to shut it down, because did you hear, was it who was it? Was it David Guetta who used Eminem's voice
Yes,
on
yeah.
one of his tracks? I think potentially they could like sue him for that. I don't know if they will, or I don't know if like maybe they asked him, oh, this is okay that we use this. But I do think a lot of artists that when they realize, oh, we're like losing out money because people are copying like our voices and trends and music, I think they'll try to like stop it and it'll just probably be shut down.
Yeah, I think the feeling is it's sort of like the next step after like Napster or something like that, where how does the industry change after something happens where they're not too sure about it. Like everyone copying everyone's MP3s back then, and now it's sort of evolved into Spotify effectively, where everyone just streams. So yeah, it's a tough one to figure out, isn't it? Knowing what might or might not happen. And from what I discussed before with one of the previous guests, it's questionable as to who's going to be producing the track. Is the computer going to be producing tracks now, and how are you going to differentiate between a computer doing a track and a human making it? It's going to be a bit of a minefield when we get to that. But yeah, it's
I mean, a lot of like ghost production does happen anyway. I know that especially in the Asian market, even in terms of remixes and things like that.
So Nish, it's been a pleasure to have you here and answer all our interesting questions and let our listeners get to know you as a person.
Thank you for your time.
As you said, we can check you out on the BBC Asian Network.
Thursdays, 8 till 10 p.m.
Thursdays, 8 till 10. So yeah, check out Nish on there. And does that get streamed on video as well, or is that just audio?
No, it's just audio on BBC Sounds. If you listen back to it, quite a few of the mixes as well. I upload it to my Mixcloud page, so you can check that out too. But yeah, otherwise, I normally just go on TikTok Live for any visuals.
Perfect, excellent day, and we'll speak soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.